Welcome to Tigrai Media House. My name is Malikti Berhane-Meskel. It's been 3 weeks since the cessation of hostilities agreement was signed in Pretoria, and still most of those promises of the unjust agreement have gone unfulfilled. Eritrean soldiers are still looting and still killing and have stepped up their aggressions. And aid was described by an aid worker as being a drop in the ocean. The unfettered humanitarian access still has not been granted. But fortunately, in the diaspora, Tigrayans are stepping up their efforts, both diplomatically and on the humanitarian front, to try and save their families and the people of Tigray. Today's guest is with us from the Tigray Disaster Relief Fund, Betty Desaleng. Welcome to the show, Betty.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yes. Tell us a little bit. Your organization is pretty incredible. You've been around since 2018. It's been 4 years. Tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing with TDRF.
Of course. So Tigray Disaster Relief Fund is a US charitable 501c3 nonprofit. They founded in 2018 by a group of professional diaspora Tigrayans, and that was mainly due to the providing immediate relief and support to families being uprooted because of the ethnic and political violence across Ethiopia. So we know a lot of efforts to support the internally displaced Tegaru were by communities, but this is one of the NGOs that actually started in 2018. So done amazing work. And the whole mission for it is to provide urgent humanitarian relief and develop assistance.
I think what's interesting about your organization too is if we were paying attention in 2018, there were a number of Tigrayans who were displaced from all over Ethiopia. Now, of course, we have over 2.5 million Tigrayans who are displaced from within Tigray. But at that point, we were seeing the signs. There were the early signs of going into this war. And so your organization was able to pick up on that right away and organize. And you've deployed over $500,000 in 4 years to various organizations. That's just really incredible. What are the areas that you focus on?
So the organisation, we had a Giving Tuesdays last year as well. Within the last year, we've already founded and supported 12 projects. So an example would be Lola Foundation and Makala. So the funding supported food supplies to vulnerable residents, especially with residents who needed support that weren't eligible to be an IDP. And they're focused on pregnant women and children and people with disabilities. And then we also funded Ashmalish Grant Foundation. So the funding supported the purchase of medical supplies in Sudan. And then there's a list onwards. And then we have our yearly annual reports and our quarterly reports to just address like where the funding has gone and the amazing work they've done, such as HBN for Tigray, Hub in Tigray, Disability and Development, Restore the Motherland, and other amazing projects we're really proud of.
That's really great. So you're a disaster response organization. So you gather these funds and then you support organizations that are on the ground. And you said 12 projects that you've supported, doing everything from food security, education, medicine, and you're all over. You're in Sudan, you're in Tigray, and even in Uganda. I think that's really, really impressive work. So thank you for the work that you do. Tell us about who are supporting this year. Or in this giving, I guess I should say, this giving project?
So we have always believed in supporting on the ground organisations and support. So for this year for Giving Tuesday, instead of funding numerous different organisations, we decided to inspire generosities by requesting or asking people for support from the urgent call from Ayder Hospital. So working with Dr. Kubram Gebrselassie, we're aiming to raise 50,000 USD globally. Fingers crossed, a lot more that we can support and provide them with. That's mainly because of, 80% of facilities in Tigray have been systematically disseminated. 99% of ambulances have been destroyed or looted. So if we can support the hospitals that are currently running, that's our main mission for this Giving Tuesday.
So Ayder Hospital is one of the few hospitals that is still functioning in Tigray. Like you just said, this was actually a number from 2021. Only 13% of hospitals in Tigray were functioning at all. 80% were completely destroyed. But it seems like now Ayder is really the only place of hope for the people of Tigray. Dr. Kubram has been so incredible. We've he's kept us apprised of what's happening, and it's a lot of despair. He gives us information. First of all, let me say the doctors and nurses and caregivers have been operating with no pay, and they continue to serve the community in Tigray. And so it's really impressive, the work that they do and the commitment that they've made to save lives. They continue to fulfill that duty. They have very limited access to medicine, very limited access to working equipment. They can't make phone calls and talk to doctors in other places and specialists and take care of patients, limited oxygen. No fuel for ambulances, if they still have ambulances. I mean, it's a really dire situation, which obviously is why you guys have chosen to focus on this. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Betty. Tell me about your activism over the past couple of years and how I think there's been a little bit of a shift since the cessation of hostilities has been signed. And even though there's a lot of confusion and lack of understanding around what this means for Tigray, I know a lot of, especially Tigrayan youth, have sort of shifted. And you've shifted to how do we support and fill the gaps that the government has left. So tell me a little bit about what motivates you and also why this work is so important to you.
Of course. So we started the Tigray Youth Association in Perth, Australia in 2018. So same mission as TDRF, but more community-based in Perth in Australia. And that was mainly because of the displaced Tegaru in Tigray and all over Ethiopia. With recent events, my opinion fluctuates every single day. I'm still processing and trying to understand what's happening and how this could happen. I'm frustrated and disappointed, but I am trying to stay hopeful to keep pushing. I mean, it's been 2 years since we've heard from my family. I think that's ridiculous. I just finished my studies in human rights and I've questioned my career because to see how much human rights institutions and instruments have failed today, have failed our people and our families is it's a shock. But I don't think our direction in the diaspora has changed. I think it's still peace, relief and accountability. So yeah, outside of remaining hopeful, I think we just have to keep pushing and ask the same demands, like removing foreign troops, Eritrean, Ethiopian and Amhara troops who are still today harming and committing genocide across Tigray.
Absolutely. Peace, relief, and accountability are the three things you said you're focusing on. That's really powerful and important. Has this cessation of hostilities, are you still motivated? How do you feel? Like, what did it do to you? I know there were a lot of mixed feelings, but what did it do for you in terms of, you said it didn't change your activism. You're still asking for the same things, but in general, how did that make you feel? And what's your response?
I think there's a lot of uncertainty during this period. There has been for the last 2 years, us not speaking to our family and friends, but more specifically since the peace deal. I think that there hasn't been transparency and most of the diaspora are just trying to focus on what we can actually do. I think the first week we were all kind of shut down, waiting for news and updates. I think at this point, it's been 3 weeks, nothing's changed. So I don't feel I have time to process. So so we've increase our efforts with Tigray Disaster Relief Fund as well as advocacy around the world. I think I've remained in the advocacy space, so it's really nice to be working with an organisation who's giving more relief.
I think what you said is really important, that there's been a lack of transparency. And I think that's the message that needs to be sent, especially to our leaders who are in Tigray, who have the power to communicate and give us more information, is we need more transparency. But thankfully, thanks to organizations like Tigray Disaster Relief Fund, efforts are still continuing and to support the people of Tigray. So thank you for all that you're doing. Is there anything else that you want to add? Any last words about the fundraiser or the giving effort? We're going to play a short video at the end of this, but I want to give you the last words if there's anything you'd like to add.
Yes, I just wanted to raise some highlights with the fundraiser. We've had so much support in the last week or two since it's been launched. So I just want to say thanks to the people who are doing the peer-to-peer ambassador fundraisers, like Freya and everyone around the world that's been supporting us. We do have a 7 for 7 Give It Up challenge. So you're giving up your coffee every single day up until Giving Tuesday, so next Tuesday. We have a panel discussion on Clubhouse that we're really wanting everyone to join, but you can find out more information if you follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and more. But we are trying to exceed the 50,000, so any support we would enjoy. So
the goal is to raise $50,000, and Giving Tuesday is coming up. What day is Giving Tuesday again? What day is that?
So it's the 29th, so the coming Tuesday. Yeah.
Yes.
So it is
No, go ahead.
Sorry. It is a global day or initiative for people to fundraise and support NGOs. So we were really successful last year with raising 100,000. So we're doing it again this year to support Ayder. So any generosity would be amazing. No donation is too small, and definitely no donation is too big.
Absolutely. So November 29th is Giving Tuesday. How can people donate to your organization? We'll play the clip at the end, but just tell them how they can get funds to you, and talk about matching funds, because employers, especially here in the United States, can match their employees' funds in many cases. So talk about that for a second.
Yeah, we have numerous different campaigns for it, but matching is one. We've got a very generous donator who's giving us 10,000 or wanting to match up to $10,000. They want to stay anonymous, but yeah, just wanted to highlight that publicly, say thank you for that. We do have yesterday released our employer matching services, so you can find out if your employer will match what you've donated. I think that the diaspora have paid significantly financially as well as our time and effort, and I think this is like a way to maximize how much we can help our people, but push it onto the employers who will provide that. So you can find all that on our website, on our social media, and that's it.
That's amazing. Tigray Disaster Relief Fund. Thank you, Betty. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. You're trying to raise $50,000. And Giving Tuesday is November 29th. So we hope everyone will donate and support your efforts. The work that you do on the ground is so important in supporting the organizations that are actually doing the work. So appreciate that. We're going to play a short clip for everyone so they can see additional ways to be able to donate to the Tigray Disaster Relief Fund. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
It's here, the day we've all been waiting for. The day we unite to do a little more than we've done before. Each act is small on its own, but together we create a tidal wave of healing, of hope, of opportunity. So what makes November 29th different from any other day? You join the world's largest generosity movement. Leverage the power of giving to support Ayder Hospital. Make a difference for communities affected by the war and siege in Tigray. Let's stand in solidarity with Ayder this Giving Tuesday. Give for Ayder.